Okay. Here we go. So, all right, I got to tell you, say this board I haven't done, I don't know if I saw it this year. I didn't get drunk enough to say it this year, but it's an unbelievable board. The kasha, when you hear it, even though I saw some other answers this year in another sefer, Mordechai hears the plan to that big son and Teresh want to kill the king. And he hears it because they don't know that he knows the language. And he tells Esther what's happening, tells her to go tell the king. So she tells the king, right? And they kill big son and Teresh. Well, now, pretend you're Achashverosh. Pretend you're Mordechai. You're hearing an assassination plot. Now, what would happen if Achashverosh is bumped off? Your niece or your wife, depending on how the Chachamim looked at it, would now be returned to you. What are you going to do? No one's ever going to know. Obviously, Hashem knows, but no one's ever going to know that you know about the assassination plan. Like, you start celebrating.
I thought this happened before Esther was taken.
No, Esther, you go through the story. Esther's taken. Rashi's killed. Esther's taken.
That's right. Oh, so that's a good point. He could have just cut the mouse out and got his.
Don't say anything. Done. Mazel
but didn't they have nevuah? You knew that the whole thing was going to roll out like this, or in some fashion.
No. Lamaisi, you could say something like that he saw that Min Hashemayim, obviously, why were they telling him? I'm just thinking now, even though this is the answer of Eb Tzaddik, that if somebody hears something, Baal Shem Tov was very big, that whatever person hears or says, whatever happens, not says, but happens to a person, is a message from Hashem. We always want to know, like, does Hashem talk to us? Or how do we hear what Hashem doesn't talk to us today? And the answer really is pretty much how I understand the answer. But the way I understand is that Hashem needed to maintain, so to speak, free choice. And in order to keep free choice, he doesn't give us straight nevuah. Because we had straight nevuah, straight prophecy, we would have no longer choice because he's telling us what to do, when to do it, how to do it. So he doesn't tell us. But on the other hand, you can't leave it totally like random, because then how are we supposed to have a sense of what to do? Now, of course, you can always speak to a Talmud Chacham, you can always speak to a Tzaddik, and, Halakha tells us what does Hashem want. But in terms of like the day-to-day stuff, how do we know? So Hashem talks to us. Things happen to us. We happen to meet this person. We happen to hear this story. So you can say that that's what was going on for him, that he got to hear it, so he obviously knew it was for him. But he says something it's from Reb Tzaddik HaKohen. If Reb Tzaddik didn't say it, I'm telling you, wouldn't even think about saying it. He says, let me see where the piece is. I have it all marked up. He says, let me do over here. The question's like it's like whoa, racial and test. Okay, so he says like this: Mordechai had a fight that he was going to have against Haman, and Haman was really a stable boy. And in a certain way, Haman had rose to power. And Mordecai is going to have to fight Haman. But why is he going to be fighting him? So he could be fighting him either because of either jealousy or because of some political, he outmaneuvered him. But he knew that in order to fight Amalek, it has to be a pure hatred. You don't just fight Amalek because you don't like Amalekites. Maybe there is a mitzvah. But to eradicate Amalek, especially inside of ourselves, which is all the commentators say, we have to be aware of what's going on inside of ourselves. And Mordechai saw that there was something not pure about his relationship to Haman. And he knew that he would never be able to fight him on a pure spiritual level if on some way he's not pure in his hatred. And to hate him only because he's an enemy of Hashem, not to hate him because on any personal level. How is Mordechai, and explained to me, also Persia would have to do with the concept of Tsarasayan, like looking at people in a very stingy way. Everything, Achashverosh wants everything. Everything should come to him. Everything should come to Achashverosh. But that was a certain quality they had. And Mordechai felt that maybe he picked this up because he felt like, why I want to get rid of Haman? Because he used to be my stable boy and whatever other considerations there were. So he wouldn't be able to really fight him in a pure way. The only way he would be able to fight him in a pure way is if he purified himself inwardly. How is he going to know if he's doing things only for the purpose of Hashem? If he does something which is counter to his natural leanings. His natural leaning is save his wife, save his niece. But if he's able to do something which totally shows a purity of motive, so then he'll know that he's going to have a purity of motive against Haman, and he'll be able to beat him. What can he do that shows such a purity? It's to give his wife, is to not say anything. It's to speak up on this assassination plan. Again, not considering that he literally hands over Esther to Achashverosh, but he does something which causes that they stay together. So even though on the outside it sounds like it's crazy, but he created a certain purification of himself inside that made all the difference in the world. So that's why he kept quiet, because he knew he had to go through some internal purification that ultimately was going to make a difference. Okay, that's one thing. The other thing is, in terms of this internal stuff, it's really interesting. I have there's somebody that I've been dealing with, and a nice guy from a clinic, he's not in there anymore, a sweetheart of a guy. But as much as people kick themselves, I've almost never met anybody who kicked themselves so hard. If you can imagine that, Ari, after all these years in the Bay, how many guys are black and blue from kicking themselves? Not that you would know anything about that, but there is such a reality for certain guys. So I saw something, especially in terms of this purification inside, I saw something just the opposite. I saw something in the Chet Egel, a fascinating idea from the Shem Yishmor. I was really kind of shocked almost by it, but I get it. He says, and he brings a few examples to this. He says that after they made the golden calf, so Moshe took the calf, he burnt it, he scattered it in the water, and he gave them to drink. So he says, and why? Rashi said because it was like a sota, right? A sota is a woman who was unfaithful to her husband. They want to know how unfaithful was she. So since they took what they would normally do by a sota, they take the water, a special water that was mechat, a special water, and they would take the afer par, they would take the par of Dumi and then burn it and then put it in there, and then they would put Hashem's name, and the name would get this is talking about, by sota, right? So by a sota, and they put the name, and then the name would be erased, and the woman would drink it, and either she was found pure or she found impure. But he asks the question, how does Rashi compare the egel with the sota? By the sota water, everything is pure. The water is pure, the ashes are pure, and the name of Hashem is pure. When they did the golden calf, the water was pure, but he ground up the golden calf. What's pure about that? What does it have to do with sota? How did that work? This is like they made a golden calf. What does it have to do with they used to put the soil from the floor of the floor of the base of Mikdash, right? And the ape for them, it was just like the whole thing's holy. What does this have to do with it? A paradum especially. I'm sorry, with the floor. It was from the floor, not the paradum. I'm sorry. This is from the floor of the base of Mikdash. How did they do that? Like what did they have to do? So he says a remarkable thing. He says that when they burnt the egel, so what he was doing was, let's step back. They made the egel because they were afraid. They didn't know what to do. They wanted to do Hashem's will, but they got panic. People, they got panicky, which happens. People get panicky. So they made a golden calf. It was a big, big mistake. No question about it. But it was done because they wanted to do the right thing. So they did a Avodah Zorah, but they did it for the wrong reasons. So what happens in such a case? Is it all black and white? Like, oh, you made a Avodah Zorah, like you're done? Or no, they did it for good reasons. And there's a certain amount of credit and a certain amount of good intentions that last. So he says that was what Moshe Rabbeinu was doing. Moshe Rabbeinu burnt the calf in its form. It was no good. But down deep, on a deeper level, there was good intentions. Those good intentions he could put into the water. Then it becomes like a sota water, because then everything's pure. Even though we think it's a golden calf. No. Once it's burnt, that's why he had to burn it, because he could have just ground it up. But burning it gets rid of all of the bad stuff. Getting rid of the bad stuff means now it's all pure that he's putting it in there, which is a pretty remarkable idea. Normally we look at the golden calf, we think like, well, like how bad can you blow it? But it's not like that. The golden calf had good intentions, right? And therefore he could use it to check them. All right, there was one more idea, just a curious and very interesting idea. Again, it's on Purim, but it's such a Mordechai and Esther. Here, there's going to be a decree against the Jewish people. Esther sends Mordechai's clothes and said he should change out of his sackcloth. Mordechai said, no, nothing doing. And he sends her the message. You got to go into the king. Who knows if it's not for now? If you didn't happen for now, that's the reason you were there. That's right, the reason you were chosen. So the Shem Yishmael asked such a simple question. Esther sent a message to Mordechai. It's not okay to be in the sackcloth. Why? Because you can't go into the king's gate. You have to sit outside, and you've been checking on me, and whatever reasons there were, she didn't want him to be wearing sackcloth. Well, why does she have to send clothes to give him that message? Tell Hassach, who was the messenger, Hassach, go tell Mordechai that he shouldn't be wearing sackcloth. He should go home and get dressed, get regular clothes. What do you have to send the clothes for? Such a simple question. Don't send so again, you could say that like the idea that what she wants to tell them, you can't come into the king's clother into the gate by the king's court, the king's area. But still, you don't need clothes. You don't just send the message. So he says the idea of having clothes or not having clothes is a much deeper idea. Clothes in general cover somebody. We'll try to finish this up, Ari, because I know you need to go. Whatever. I started late. Clothes in general, they cover somebody. There was a machloka between Esther and Mordechai. How are the Jewish people going to be saved? So Esther said we got to clothe this sin that they're doing. They're clothing going to the feast of Achashverosh. We have to clothe it, so we shouldn't see it. And then you and I, we could do big tikkunim. We could do big things, but we have to clothe the sin. Shouldn't be seen. And then we could do some inner work. In the same way that the Nevi'im did inner work, and there were other people that did inner work. And he says actually the Levi'im, when the person killed B'shogig, The Levim were the ones who did the inner work to protect this guy because he had lost his, a certain merit because of that, because what he did. So Mordechai told him, no. When it comes to the entire Jewish people, you can't just do have the tzaddikim move things around, just clothe the situation you don't want to look at. No. It's got to be open. Everybody's got to see us. Everybody's going to see the Jewish people, and they've got to see themselves. And if they see themselves, they'll know they have to change. And the only way to get over this decree is if they make the difference. If they change, then we can change. But if they're not ready to change, we can't clothe over anything. We can't pretend. We can't dress it up, right? We can't dress it up, and therefore, nothing to talk about. So that's why that was the difference of the clothes, about what's the nature of how we're going to fix it up. Let me just, since somebody went on, I'll just do one more thing, because it's only fair, and Ari, if you need to go, I totally get it. Since somebody came on, I don't like to leave without leave something.
We're good.
All right. In a second, let me find what I was looking at over here. Kisisa. Oh, Parsha. I should have done something in Parsha. I didn't look at Parsha. I saw in Kisisa right at the beginning. One second. Yeah, I'll tell you a quick word. I don't see it here, but I once heard it from my Rabbi, Rabbi Bowman. Once had a very fascinating idea. Rabbi Bowman said that by the golden calf, it's only to remember during the fast days, during the golden calf, right? That was commemorated every year by the 17th of Tammuz. This is a good word to remember, Ari. The 17th of Tammuz is the day we remember about the golden calf. Tisha B'Av is the day we remember about the spies, right? They sent spies, they came back, terrible report, they cried out that night. Which is worse? Making idol worship, avodah zarah? They made a golden calf. Or being scared about the giants that may swallow them up. So we would think making idol worship is worse. One would think in Judaism, idol worship is worse than a lack of faith. It's not good that we have to work on our faith, but it's not the same thing. So why is it the 17th of Tammuz is not as serious of a day as Tisha B'Av? You can say other things happen, but the source of Tisha B'Av is the spy. Oh, I lose my picture now. No, I get it still. Okay, so it's the spies. So if that's the case, so then why is that the worst? Why is it the 17th that should be the worst? That's when they made it idol worship. So he said an amazingly important answer. He said that in the 17th of Tammuz, they tried to do something. They wanted to do Hashem's will, but they made a big mistake. That's wrong. It's forgivable. On Tisha B'Av, they said, we can't do it. We can't go into the land. We can't do what Hashem told us to do. Hashem says, I can't work with you then. If you get overly zealous, you get overly excited, that's not good. But if you feel like I can't, Hashem says that's the end of the line. I can't work with you. I have to come up with a new generation. So even though we would think that idol worship is worse, but the Torah says no, it's worse to think that we can't do it. That's the worst. You could take any. All right. Anyway, I'm going to hold it up. Anyway, that's so. And we get to those fast days, we can remember. Hopefully remember as we go through our day, we go through our week, our year, whatever. If Hashem said we can do it, we're good to go. It's hard, very hard. So go to your friends, get chizik, go on an Navay chat, learn some Torah together. All right, Hashem should help us. We should believe in ourselves.
Amazing.
Okay,
Rabbi. Thank you so much, Rabbi. Really appreciate it.
All right, a pleasure.
Take care.
Good to see everybody.
Have a great day.
You too.
Take care. We'll be in touch.
You too, man.